Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend, Bri and Court.
Hi.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. Mm-hmm. As we are moving through this series of Safe, Seen, and Heard, we are so excited to bring Heard to you today, what the experience is like as the feminine, what it does for the feminine, some examples of how to create that for your feminine partner, because this is a core need of the feminine energy that we all have. And so hopefully you can start to see how you can support your feminine partner better, or these parts within yourself that you may have needed some language around in order to get those needs met more effectively. So that is our intention with this show. Before we dive in, I want to introduce ourselves and then we'll get started.
Yes. Hello, I'm Bri. If you're new to this show, you haven't heard my spiel 100 times. My work is helping really high-achieving, driven women embrace and embody their feminine energy and learn how to consciously attract and allow in healthy love and healthy partnerships. So all the trauma healing and the embodiedness healing and all that juicy stuff is what we do together. Part of my background is in sex, love, and intimacy as well. So we're often embracing pleasure and sensation and all of those fun things.
Love that.
Courtney, you work with mostly men now.
Mostly men, yeah. I love working with mostly men to really embody that sense of confidence, clarity, conviction that is kind of quintessential to the masculine energy, the empowered masculine energy, as we like to call it. So there's some kind of integration piece that gets to happen there, and really dropping it into your body. It's that, I always say, like that last 5% that needs to click in place, and then it is off to the races. So I am excited for this content because this is something that we get in the comment section a lot. I get in the comment section of my work a lot too. And I think these are going to be really practical examples that you can walk away and put in place today and really like see significant ROI on your efforts in your relationships.
I love that. I love that because I think we've said 100 times on the show, to open the feminine, all you need to do is create a space for her to feel safe, seen, and heard. And at the same time, it's like, that's kind of a loose, what does that even mean, right? There's not really, exactly, it's an abstract sort of word. So the first section we did on, what did we do already?
Seen?
Yeah, because seen is like a, what do you mean? I see you. So if you want to know what that means in terms of an emotional need, that's a really good one. Heard, I think, often gets misinterpreted as well. Maybe like the second most elusive term.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it.
Go for it.
You want me to jump in first?
Do it.
Okay. So the way that we're defining heard is having your thoughts and feelings recognized and received. So what's really important with this is I would say this is a human thing, not even feminine, masculine. It's just healthy communication skill. When someone's sharing what they think, what they feel, their opinion about something, you create an environment and an experience of them feeling heard when you're able to acknowledge what those feelings are, what those thoughts are, what those opinions are, even if you don't agree. So Courtney could say to me, I had a really bad morning, my coffee tasted like this, and this person ignored me. And if I'm just like, yeah, and I'm thinking in my head, I hear her, that's it, fine. But what makes someone feel heard is me saying, that is such a bummer that your coffee didn't turn out how you wanted it to, or what did that person say to you? Either you're engaging with the conversation or you're even doing something as simple as saying it back, right? What I'm hearing is, you had a really hard morning. Is there more? Right? We're going to give you lots of phrases to play with. Those are just some examples. I know a lot of you are well-meaning when you're listening. You're like, what do you mean? I hear her. I'm listening. What she's looking for is that verbal confirmation, even body language confirmation, but verbal confirmation of, he got it. He's with me. That keeps the connection going. Otherwise, she's usually trying to figure out, are you listening? Are you there? Are you with me? And the feminine is built on connection. So honestly, if you only listen for 4 minutes, like the easiest solve is say back what you heard and then ask, is that right? That's going to create a feeling of being heard. I mean, it can be that simple, but we're going to expand on it a little. What do you have to say about this definition?
I love that because when I was learning this work, terms get tossed around a lot, like create some space, hold some space, really help her feel heard and seen. And even as a woman, I was like, yes, I understand the value of that, but I don't know how to make that happen.
What does it look
like? What does that mean?
Yes.
And so I think it is important that we're all on the same page of like, it's a human need to feel heard. You want to feel heard. We want to feel heard. the miss is usually in the skill set of how to create that experience to let you know that I received the message. I'm letting it impact me how it needs to. I'm engaged in the conversation. I'm leaning in too. I think a lot of times, especially with my masculine clients, they are really good at observing and hearing, truly just like hearing. But it is the piece that is, the breakdown usually happens with the communication of got it, received, I'm on track, I'm following. Usually what ends up happening is that they either take the information and just go to work with it and do what they need to do, or they start solving the problem, which neither of those are wrong. But if you're wanting to create the experience with your feminine partner, that you are a team in this, you have to at some point let her know, babe, I heard you, got it, information received, I'm on it, I'm going to do something with this. Or do you need, is there more? I love that question of like, what else? How else does this need to like come out so that we can be on the same team and really feel the connection that you're looking for?
The goal is connection, right? I think that if you keep that in your mind in any communication with anybody, regardless of gender, energy, all these things we talk about, the goal is connection. How can I stay connected to her and make sure that she's feeling connected to me? So even though it might feel redundant of you thinking, yes, I heard her, you letting her know that is keeping that cyclical. Yeah, cyclical. It's like, why does that word not sound right? Does that ever happen to you?
Yes.
You say a word and you're like, is that a word? You're keeping that cyclical flow happening where she's sharing, you're hearing it, you're letting her know that. She's like, got it, he's with me. And then the flow keeps going. That's what we're looking for is connection, not necessarily being right or even efficiency in the conversation. Or is it really necessary to say it back to her? Like I heard her. No, it's not necessary in terms of an information standpoint, but it is necessary in terms of a connection standpoint. Ooh. That's the difference.
I always talk about you can have efficiency or you can have effectiveness.
There you go.
When it comes to relationships, my professional opinion would be lean towards effectiveness. Obviously, the more effective you are, the more efficient you become. When you really like get in there and you can do the job correctly, you're naturally going to get better at it and more skillful and more proficient and faster. But if you're focused on efficiency, you're going to be asking the wrong questions and therefore solving the wrong problem. In this case being like, why do I need to repeat it back? This is wasting time, wasting energy, wasting effort. But it's not, because it's actually creating this we space between the two of you. The relationship itself is what you're investing in by saying, I hear you. Is there more? Tell me more. You want for her to be sharing with you. This is what I always remind masculine clients. When she stops sharing with you, that should be a huge red flag. That is not, it's not too late, but so often men will have this experience of she is suddenly like checked out or leaving or filing for divorce, and there's like this shock. When the reality is, if we like wound back the tape, there were moments where she was trying to share with you and she wasn't getting the feedback loop of feeling heard. And we can really intervene much earlier in these situations when you can catch those cues. One of them being that when you let her know that she's been heard, that's going to keep her wanting to share with you. No one wants to just be sharing and have it land on deaf ears. You don't want that either. And so this is the really important piece, not to scare you that, if you don't do this, but if you don't do this, you're not investing in the relationship. And at some point, an empowered feminine woman is going to say, I can't get my connection need met with him, in which case I'm going to take that energy and invest it in a place where I can feel met and heard and get these needs met. And that's what translates as suddenly she no longer wants to be in the relationship, because there's a more effective place for her to get these needs met. You want these needs met for her, not only because she shows up differently, but you actually want this type of relating experience. If you can master this skill, it's going to make it much easier for you to have.
And richer. What a richer connection and relationship.
Yes.
Yes. We reference this a lot, the Gottman's work on bids for connection. Same thing. If she's sharing something and you're not verbalizing back these questions, we'll list out some prompts for you in just a minute, but if you're not responding to it, helping her feel heard, it feels like a missed bid, right? It feels like as the feminine, I'm saying, I want to connect with you. I'm sharing this thing. And if he's like, yeah, got it. It's like, didn't land. Where is it? Do you want to play with me? Do you want to engage with me? Like, I want to play, you know? It's the bid for connection and you receiving it. We've talked about this before, that social media post of when the woman said, kiwis are on sale. I knew you were going to know what I meant.
It's never about the kiwis.
It's not about, and all these men were like, what do you mean? Like, she just said kiwis were on sale. And the women were like, that is a bid. Can we get some kiwis? You know? So he could have easily said like, oh, are you wanting some kiwis? Or would that make you happy? There's so many things. Would you like me to pick them up? That would have made her feel heard. But that's what was happening there, is she didn't feel heard. And that's why it became such a big debate. The women were like, what do you mean? This is a bid for connection. She wants to feel heard. And the men were like, what? What's happening here? Right? So I think just understanding that definition of, yes, you can hear it, but giving her the verbal feedback that you've got it keeps that, like we said, that cyclical flow. Let's talk about some phrases they can use.
Yeah. Before we do that, I just want to say this is generous relating.
Yeah.
We are always talking about the empowered paradigm is generous relating. When you step into the empowered paradigm and start playing at that level, you will be generous in that you're going first because you want to set the stage for this level of connection. And in return, typically it brings forward a healthier, more integrated version of her to contribute more to the relationship too. So it does create this like upward self-fueling cycle. If you want that kind of relating, these are some things you can do. It's not a tit for tat, like she didn't listen to me and I'm not going to listen to her. Again, it's never about the kiwis. We have to be a little bit more generous in that, like, if it doesn't fit in the context of the relationship informationally, let that be a like signpost of like, pay attention. This doesn't quite fit in the logistics conversation we're having about the grocery list. She's probably wanting some connection. I think it's almost always a safe bet to assume if it doesn't fit in the context of the conversation, it's just a bid for more connection. And if you can see it that way, you're probably in safer territory than if you were to be like, this doesn't fit in the conversation. Get rid of.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Like just discounting it because, oh, that's an outlier.
Yeah. If it's an outlier, let it be a like, try it on and just see, like, if I were to treat this like a bid for connection and just play from that lens, how does she respond? She's probably going to respond a little better than if you had just like swept it away as an outlier. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It reminds me that our take home point with all of this, you know, when we get comments that are like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, why should I do this? What's in it for me? What do you mean? What do you mean what's in it for you? Emotional intimacy, connection, a healthy partnership, a lifelong healthy partnership, flirtation, play, laughter, fun, closeness, connection. And then, yes, you get to see the best of the feminine, which if you're loving a feminine woman well, if you're loving a woman well, you're going to see the best of her. You're going to see the warmth, the playfulness, the laughter, the creativity, the part of her that wants to 10x multiply your life in all the ways and support you and give you ideas and be there for you. Like, you will bring out the best in your woman by learning how to create an environment that makes her feel safe, seen, and heard. And I know so many of you who listen to the show, you want emotional intimacy and closeness. So that's why we create these episodes, is we want you to know these are the things that women need, that the feminine needs in order to feel that. And on a human level, that most people need, right? That's really what's going on. So it's worth it for the connection. It's worth it for the relationship. It's you deciding, I want this in my life. Let me learn these new skill sets to create that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going into the like, but she didn't, but he didn't. Those conversations, we've already had those. We've been having those for generations now. We're ready to shift into, but how can we move forward in a way that is different? And that this is it, learning these skills. All right, let's get practical.
Okay.
Let's get practical.
So let's go through some phrases. Obviously, the easiest one, if you remember nothing else, is what I'm hearing is X. And you just say it back. Very simple. She's sharing something with you. I had a really bad day. Oh, what I'm hearing is today was really tough for you. You're validating her feelings. That's why it works. You're saying, I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. Your feelings are valid. We'll talk about feelings in just a moment, but that is one phrase. So it's one of my favorites. Easy one. What is one of your favorites?
Well, I think kind of in that same vein, not necessarily a phrase, but more of a strategy. There's a tool that I use that I teach. I think it's already in my program, Rooted. But I think the reason that men may get challenged in this moment is that there is a fear of being like overwhelmed by the emotion that she's sharing. And there needs to be a groundedness on your side, your ability to just like hold information without letting it necessarily impact you being able to like select what you want to deal with, that way of seeing it instead of like this rush of information and you kind of like scanning for like, what's the point? What is she trying to say? What am I needing to like take out of this? For you to see it a little bit more broadly. And then you can even ask like, what do you want me to, like, what would you like me to know about this? Is there something specific that you want for me to remember? I think that can be really empowering too for you as the masculine listener. This is what I'm hearing. Is that right? And is there anything else that you really want for me to understand that I haven't like repeated back yet? Really getting to that level of clarity for yourself so that you are walking away with like either the action item of the day or just knowing for yourself that you don't have to be like scanning the entire conversation, which is, I think, maybe how your brain is a little bit more wired than hers. But you can always ask. I think it really helps me feel heard to know if you're repeating back, like, is that what you wanted me to hear? Not quite. This is what it was. Okay, she will help you out in that way if you're willing to say, like, this is what I heard. Is that what you wanted me to hear? Or was there something else? It's kind of an invitation for her to help connect. She's looking for that connection point, and if you're not quite like there, she's going to be like, actually it's over here. And I find that she's much more generous in that way when you set it up from a space of curiosity or of just asking for clarification. Is that what you wanted for me to get?
I think that works. It's particularly important in conflict. You know, I mean, we're talking about hurt in all contexts, just like day to day, but even especially in conflict, that question of like, what is most important for you, for me to know? What would you really like me to know and remember? I think that's an excellent question to ask if you guys are negotiating and parsing something out in terms of conflict or repair work together. Another phrase I really love is there more?
Such a good one.
And I'm glad you prefaced this like space holding context. What comes to mind is the phrase listen to understand. So if you're able to put that focus of like, I'm just listening, I'm asking these questions and I'm just listening to get a full picture and understand first where this is coming from. What am I hearing? Then it's a lot easier to communicate. And that takes a lot of emotional regulation skills because you kind of have to compartmentalize any part of you that might be getting triggered or wants to jump in or negate something. But asking the question, is there more, is going to create as the feminine this opening experience. Like I can breathe, I can exhale, there's space for me here and I can share more. And then you can always follow up with what Courtney's saying around what would you like for me to remember? Because I know that we like to say a lot of words. You give us the space. We like to use lots of words, lots of analogies, lots of meta report, right? So you can always clarify, like, what do you want me to remember? But is there more is a magical phrase.
Yeah.
Try it with anybody, romantic, platonic, familial. It truly, think about it. If you're on the receiving end of you sharing something and then someone says, wow, that's really blah, blah, blah. Is there more? It's like, there's more space for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a burden. I'm not taking up too much room.
Yep.
It's very opening for the feminine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So good. I love that. Well, as you were saying it, something was like, pay attention. And yeah, I was absorbed. It was something about words and the way the communication style. I do think that this is where we kind of get lost in the weeds a little bit and understanding that the feminine can have a totally different communication style without it being wrong. I think once you can understand how that style naturally operates, instead of seeing it as like different equals wrong, you will start to see it as like, oh, different and I have a skill to handle this. So it's no longer like a scary, I need to defend against it. It's like can I play with this? How can I engage this in a way that is a little bit more of what I'm needing in order to find that connection point again? And that's where I think having some strategies can be really useful in that way.
Yeah, well said. I think we ought to address the holding space versus fixing
Go
dynamic.
for it. Yes.
Yeah. I love that the masculine is typically really great at problem solving and finding solutions. And I think women are sometimes misinterpreted because we don't always want solutions. We really just need to say things and get them out. And I can understand why it would be incredibly frustrating or like not even frustrating, but just kind of confusing. Like, you're saying a lot of things. What do you want me to remember? What is there to fix? What is the point? What is there to solve? And for the feminine, it's really just sharing. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. It's just connection. Sometimes there is no quote unquote point to what's being said other than like, I just want to feel you and I want you to feel me. I want you in my experience. I want to be in your experience.
Yeah.
But I think the knee-jerk reaction for the masculine can be, well, let me solve this. Let me fix it. She's complaining about her coworkers, right? Well, what can we do? And the best question you can ask is, you could say, baby, I love you. Would you like for me to just listen, or do you want solutions? Because I'm down for either. And then see what she says. And if she's like, yeah, I'm open to your advice, then great. But don't skip the herd part still. If you really want to bonus generosity, A+ skills, still ask those questions. Is there more? Is that right? What I'm hearing? Those are great ways to help someone feel safer, and don't think too hard. We're going to talk about what that looks like, but safer to share. So asking that question can be really helpful, because sometimes she just needs to complain or process or share, and then it's done. There's nothing to fix. I just wanted you to be in my world. It's kind of the vibe.
That if you understand that it is an invitation, the feminine's driven for connection, and sometimes in order to create connection, like if she is the connection manager of the relationship, if you will, she is like, ooh, there's a connection point here. I'm going to invite him into my world. And that's what she's doing. That is the bid for connection, is like, do you want to come into my world? I want you in my world. Come into my world. And if you can see it that way, that sometimes that is the gift of the feminine, is that she's just wanting to share for the sake of sharing. Then I think you could relax that part of your brain that is like searching for the problem and being useful and being more like utilitarian in the relationship dynamic. If you can shift that to like being the most useful is taking the invitation and coming into her world with her, like letting her explain her world and just observing it with her.
100%.
Magical.
Yeah, I mean, that's connection.
Yeah, magical experience to have.
So another...
Go for it.
She knows where I'm going with this. We always take brief notes, and we try to time ourselves, because I don't know if you guys know this, but we can yap.
Going back to like, does every word really matter? Yes.
So
of course it does.
We have to contain ourselves. But important to say, for the feminine, there may be a different relationship to feelings. And a woman's, anyone's feelings can't be right or wrong. They're just relevant to what's important to you. I might have a lot of feelings about an experience because it reminds me of X. It triggered X because this is how I grew up. Whatever it might be, it'll bring up a lot for me. It might bring up nothing for you because you don't have that in your background. That doesn't make the experience less valid or less important that I'm having, right? This isn't about a right or wrongness. It's about, oh, this is important to her. And for the feminine, emotions, yes, I don't want to encourage this notion of like women make all their decisions based on emotion, because I don't think that's true. I think women are very logical and practical, but our feelings do inform what is real for us, and they're a big contributing factor to what we decide to do going forward. It has to feel right. And it's a way that we intuit information about what is right for us, what's aligned for us. It's how we feel. It's also showing us what feels crunchy. Like, I don't know how else to describe this. If something's off in Courtney and I's friendship, I'm going to feel it. There's no words. She could be looking at me, talking to me how she always does. And I've said this to you before. We've said it to each other. Something off. Hey, is something going on? Your energy's a little like, are you okay? And that's when she'll be like, oh yeah, I got up late this morning and my alarm didn't go off. And it's like, there it is.
Coffee tasted bad.
Exactly. Clocked it. You can feel it, right? And so I think understanding this about the feminine, like there is an energetic piece of information that she is always getting.
Yeah.
And I do think men get this too, depending on how much they embrace that side of themselves. Mm-hmm. But really empowered feminine women, their feelings are central to their heart. So dismissing her feelings feels like a dismissal of her experience. So feelings can't be right or wrong. I think that's another thing. Like as you're going through conflict, if you're going to remember these little placeholders, her feelings can't be right or wrong. It's just what matters to her and what's important to her. And if it matters to her and it's important to her, then it's important in the connection. Because you guys are a team. She's half, he's half. What she's feeling matters just as much as what you're feeling or thinking or having opinions about. Can you speak a little to the way that the masculine equivalent of this?
I'm just like still in awe. Give me a second. Okay. The masculine equivalent. Yeah, because I was just answering a comment about this today about how to... It would be, I think the equivalent for men is your opinion, this thing that you have been like gathering data points based on your experiences. All the experiences you've had have helped you form this opinion of how you're going to navigate the world, your like worldview and perspective. And what I was responding to this comment today about like, how can you disagree with someone without shutting her down or making her feel judged? Something that I mentioned is like your perspective, your point of view is informed by all of your experiences and what you value. The same is true for her emotions. It's how she's been processing the world and all these data points she's been gathering that are helping inform how she needs to move through the world. And it's not right or wrong. They're just different. And if you can see them as just different instead of needing to have this kind of zero-sum game that like I'm either right or wrong, or you're either right or wrong, you're going to have a lot more success in this. In the same way that if she were constantly shutting down your opinion, it's not going to be something that you want to keep contributing. Like, you know better than to just keep sharing your opinion if someone's always out to prove your opinion wrong. It's like, the point of me sharing my opinion is that this is based on all of my years of experience, and you're kind of negating all of the not only time and energy and effort that it took me to develop this opinion is kind of what's communicated, but also it really doesn't allow for a space that you want to be in. I would say as a man, you're probably just going to be like, all right, good luck with it then. It feels, I think, equivalent for the feminine when you're not able to see her feelings as valid, even though yours may be different.
Yeah.
It feels probably very similar in that those are all of her data points and her experience. And if you could hear it as, this has been my experience, this has been all the data points that I've gathered thus far, you would see it as this incredible fountain of wisdom that the feminine can bring that just is a different flavor of your opinion. And if you can see the benefit of how that rounds out your opinion and hold the ability to let that be an equal possibility, I think you would have a more robust experience of not only the world, but your opinion. Like your opinion could potentially expand to include this thing that could be considered based on her experiences.
Yeah, I love that comparison. If you think about how it would feel if your woman said to you, well, your opinion is wrong.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
What?
That may be your opinion, but it's not right.
Right. Which is how often sometimes women hear that phrase, that maybe your feelings, but it's not right. You may feel that way, but that's not what happened. And it's like, that is, we were just joking about, we're going to make episodes on phrases to avoid, because
that's one of them.
What do you mean it's not right? They're my feelings. They can't be right or wrong, just like your opinion can't be right or wrong. It's an opinion. It's your experience. It's how you think. It's how you interpret the world. It's how I feel. It's how I've interpreted the world. It's important to me. That's important to you. So just seeing it as, and her sharing her feelings is sharing her heart, the most vulnerable part of her. So we want to hold it with that kind of reverence, just as when a man is sharing his opinion about something, it's a really important thing for him to be sharing too. It's how you show your values and what you care about and how you define yourself as a man. And I know you've thought about it extensively before you've shared your opinion. Mm-hmm. So my work as the feminine is let me understand this man more based on what he's sharing, even if I disagree with the opinion, right? Can I look, well, I won't go in the weeds here. I was going to go into coaching mode.
So easy to do.
It's so easy to do. One caveat I would say with women and their feelings, Courtney and I both feel pretty strongly about this, is go back and listen to, I think it's like episode 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, 5, on wounded feminine energy. Depending on where your woman is at in terms of containment and development and empowerment and emotional regulation skills, relationship skills, she might fall more in the wounded feminine camp. Nothing wrong with it. I've been there. I used to camp out there, paid rent for a long time until I figured it out. But when you're in your wounded feminine, your emotions aren't just like a thing that informs part of your decision making and part of how you move through the world. They become your entire experience. Your feelings consume you. You get lost in them. Mm-hmm. Your emotions drag you around like whiplash. You can't be grounded. Mm-hmm. You don't ground with logic or practicality. You just act reactively. That's really different than an empowered woman sharing her feelings. So I wouldn't want you to hear this. And if you're dating a woman who's in that wounded feminine energy and is making her feelings everything, and you're feeling like, I'm overwhelmed, I can't ground her, I don't really even know what she's saying a lot of the time. At one time it's this and then it's this. I feel like I can't make her happy. Like those sensations tell us she's probably more in her wounded feminine. Nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with her either. It's just a different level of development. So her feelings are going to be larger than life. And it's overwhelming you because it's also overwhelming her. Yeah. And she doesn't know what to do with it. She doesn't know how to ground it. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking, how can I make her feel heard? Consider, where is she on this empowered, wounded spectrum? So that you don't shame or judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or her. Yeah. It's going to be, so much of this work has nuance to it in that it really does depend on so many variables, and we try to kind of hit the like middle of the road here, but it really will depend on if she is in an empowered space within herself emotionally. She's going to feel more like grounded, and I'm glad you brought that up because I can already hear men being like, she is all over the place. It is overwhelming because she's overwhelmed. Yeah. And in that case, she probably just needs to be like hugged. Truthfully. Yeah. Like, just say, hey, babe, do you need a hug right now? And then go into the conversation piece. If stuff's just like, I think of that Inside Out 2 with the anxiety, like running the control panel.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And the solution is almost always like her body needs to be regulated. Just give her a hug, ask her if she needs a hug, and then take a few deep breaths together and try the conversation part again. That is so grounding and empowering in general as a partner. You don't have to like go in and be like, wait, was it this? What am I trying to like hear here? Because I think that's such a critical piece to our work. Is the reason we teach it in this quadrant system is because we're not always operating in the empowered paradigm all the time. Yeah. The awareness that we have around it is what moves us into an empowered way of relating, but it doesn't mean that we're like, once we're there all the time. You have to really like intentionally upgrade some of these areas. And the way that a woman relates to her own feelings is, I would say, as a woman, one of the like quintessential pieces of emotional maturity for the feminine is really learning how to like relate to your emotions from a grounded place. It took me several years to like gain that awareness, gain that skill, and to be very honest, like there are still days where I'm like, and
but it's how you lead yourself.
But I'm able now, I have some skills to be like, okay, pause, time out. We're not going to bring this to the dynamic. I'm going to like handle this. I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes. Like, or I call Bri or a friend and I'm like, I just can't ground right now. I really need some support right now. There are resources out there that are not necessarily the partner dynamic of where you want to bring this.
And yes, yeah, and you can bring it to your partner.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that you can't.
Yeah. Either one. I think the right choice could be different based on any context and how intense the conversation is, the rapport you have, the foundation you have. Yeah. Sometimes the better thing is to call Courtney. Sometimes you lean into intimacy with your partner. Everyone's
Yes.
expansion point's different at different points.
Yes. Nuance.
Tell us about, like, the men are listening to this and thinking, okay, yeah, I hear her feelings. I fundamentally disagree with what she's saying. How do I handle that? Be truthful and authentic about how I'm feeling as a man, and still validate her feelings and feel heard.
I'm so glad that we're doing this episode. Again, this came up literally today in a conversation. So the way that I explained it in that conversation is the times that this has like worked, being on the receiving end of this, are usually when I can sense that the other person is coming at this from the mindset of a both and, not a either or. When it's either or, we're playing this like zero-sum game. There's one winner and one loser. And usually when we're in that zero-sum way of relating, you are going to be defending the parts of you that feel vulnerable or feel kind of like wobbly or uncertain. And when we're really creating intimacy, that edge between the two of us is going to be your edge of uncertainty. And if you think of it that way, as we're getting closer to another person and feeling uncertain, the reaction that you have to that experience will either cause you to connect or cause disconnection. If you're saying, I'm uncomfortable with uncertainty and I'm not willing to hear you out, she's not going to feel heard. You're also going to not be supporting the connection. This doesn't mean that you are failing at it, but I want you to have a little bit more awareness that there's a sensation maybe coming up within you. Adam Grant is, I think, a really brilliant person to talk on this. He talked about this idea of intellectual vulnerability, the concept of there's a vulnerability of admitting that I don't know everything. Maybe there's information that I haven't experienced yet in my formation of my opinion. Is it possible that there is information outside of what I have experienced in the world so far? It kind of keeps you in this like learner mindset, this curiosity, this expanded growth state. And from there, you're able to come from this both and experience where my perspective can be my perspective. Yours can be yours. And that difference between us is what we're exploring. How close do we need to get and how close can we get based on the fact that you are just different than me? Not making different automatically mean it's wrong or right.
Both and.
It's, yeah. What do you have to say on
No,
that?
I agree. I think holding both perspectives and also keeping in mind the feelings and opinions the whole time will help you be able to receive what she's saying and not see it as a challenge to your opinion. It's just, also, the point is understanding each other and connection, not necessarily rightness. It's not about getting it right or winning.
Yes.
The win is staying connected. The win is deeper intimacy. So if we can take back like the competitiveness or the feeling of like it's a challenge, not a challenge. It's just about understanding each other and seeing how can we meet each other on this, and are we compatible, right? Because there's actually no loss here. If you do bump up against something that you really can't get past, you'd rather know now.
Yeah.
It's important to know now, while you both can still protect your time and energy. So I just don't think that there's any loss here. You want to understand your woman truly, not contort into aversion, and vice versa. We want to understand our men truly, not contort them in our head into aversion. So
Yeah.
I love that, both and.
Yeah. And just in rephrasing that, as I heard myself say that, it is about you're distinguishing how close you want to be and can be with this person. That is the goal, if you will, not being right or wrong. Because if I'm focused on like how close do I want to be to this person, I'm going to be much more curious and open about like, what are you feeling? What is important to you? What are you actually trying to communicate, instead of reacting in a way that I need to prove you wrong or convince you? It's going to be a little bit more generous again, but also you're going to find that edge of like, okay, maybe we aren't compatible. Maybe this is the level of compatibility that we get to where we're not going to be moving forward together, but I can still appreciate you as a really great person, and we're just going to go separate ways at this point. Or you can really lean in and practice that skill set, because if you need some help with conflict and really allowing your woman to open, we have a masterclass on that for both men and women. But this might be a really great skill set to have, and we've already done a masterclass on that. So we'll put the links in the show notes.
What did we call it? What your woman needs emotionally and how to provide it. Also, perhaps your disagreement will actually bring you closer. And don't you want some differences in how you guys interpret the world? That's what makes relationships really rich. You expand each other's perspectives. So instead of like, we need to think and feel the same about these things, can we lean in and be expanded by each other? That's the point of relationship. But it's important to know what your non-negotiables are, and things that are like not expansion points, it's just lack of compatibility. And if you're a man listening to this, I know somebody that could really help you to determine and discern that. It's not me. It's going to be Courtney. Anything else you want to add? Or I feel like we kind of...
No, I think this is great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you love this episode, the most helpful, amazing, generous thing you could do is share it with someone that you feel like would benefit from it, or share it on your socials. We're so excited that our YouTube space has been growing a lot. It's been amazing, and seeing all your engagement and comments. So thank you for that. We also put out some merch recently. If you haven't seen, we have a Going to Therapy Makes You Hotter crew neck. We have a We Celebrate Emotionally Intelligent Men t-shirt. They come in lots of different colors, and everything that you purchase supports the show. You guys know we, to this point, haven't done ads. We don't do subscription, anything. I mean, this is just a heart and soul project for us that brings people hopefully into our spaces. That's the benefit, is we get to work more intimately with people who come on as clients. But it does support the show. So if you could share or get yourself a crew neck or a t-shirt, that would be amazing.
Join our membership. We have a membership on YouTube. We're going to be putting some exclusive content there, ways that you can go deeper in this conversation. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I think that's great. And that's kind of a bonus. If you're willing to subscribe, we'll kick you back some free content. And again, everything that you, every dollar you spend with the show just helps us keep this content free to you and keep creating resources like this. I was going to tell you one more thing. Oh, if you are listening on a podcast platform, if you could rate us, that would really help us move up in the charts as well. We want to get this information to more people. If you want more from Courtney, it's CourtneyShan.com, Courtney_Shan across the board. If you want more from me, it's Building Bri or Building Bri Coaching, buildingbri.com. All those links are in the show notes. That's it. We'll see you in the next episode for SAFE. We're going to go over SAFE next time.
Yes.
See you later.
Bye.